Welcome back, friends. The Soul Material Podcast, the podcast you cheer for, the channel you cheer for. And we're back with another episode for season 5. It's T Mark the Street Shark.
And OGEO. Welcome back, folks.
All right. This time we're going to dive in. We're just going to continue our, talking about signature shoes and more signature status updates. This time, this episode is all about Devin Booker, D Book. All right. We're talking about the D Book ones. All right. That have been rolling out for like the last year and a half. And it's going to keep the party going. So, Nike is in need of some longevity from their signature athletes. So I think the D Book didn't get off the ground with the greatest fanfare when everyone saw the initial images, but over time it's growing, just like plenty of other sneaker models. Over time, people don't like the first versions that they see, but it's starting to pick up pace, and now they're dropping all over the place, some different colorways. So kick it to the OG, and just let's talk about Devin Booker, D Book of the Phoenix Suns, signature shoe from Nike.
Definitely. Well, again, out with the old and with the new. So we kind of predicted that once PG 13 left Nike, who was going to come in. And I would say by far, I will put him top 5 easily, best scorers in the league. And I think he's underestimated, and I think he's not underrated. I just don't think he's just not rated at all, if you ask me, because the book has been doing this thing for quite a while, man. And I'm glad he got the contract with Nike. And again, I knew that the book ones, because again, the initial shock with everyone on the internet and social media, it's always got to hate first or critique or criticize and pick at it first. And then over time, you saw the colorways. Him, I know Phoenix has not been the most successful, but him individually still being successful. He's been consistent outside of nagging injuries here and there. And again, a lot of not only the colorways but the campaigns and some of the stories that have been told by the book ones. Now we are here. So again, Nike will put that machine behind you, and it's what it is with the book one. So that being said, Shark, show us what you got. Because I already know you got something, but behind to show off, because the book ones are really starting to elevate as far as popularity, and you're starting to see a lot of the negative chatter before now becoming at least neutral or positive chatter now, and it happens in the game, man. Because we've been in so long, this is not something that we are not familiar with at all.
Yeah, definitely. And with the book one, because the silhouette looks kind of like an Air Force One, but then it's low top, and there was some Kobe inspirations with the low top vibe. I think that they picked a good silhouette for what he does and in his game and what he likes, and it's actually translated because with so many different levels of customization and so many ways to tell a story with that silhouette. All right. So first one I want that was just a must have for me because it gives retro vibes. All right. The D Book, the Moab colorway. Like this is wow. And it even has the Moab font on the back with the Air Book. All right. And then you got the 9.6. All right. Just marking the nostalgic time of this particular Moab ACG colorway. All right. And look at the details. You see the materials on here. Premium. Look at that. Premium leather with the stitching. All right. And then I'm not even gonna call this woven up here. And then this is like this is suede. This isn't mesh. All right. This is suede right here. All right. And then we got the book on the tongue right there. We got this nice buttery toe box right here. Oh my goodness. I'm just scared. I don't want nobody to step on my suede shoes over here. You know what I'm saying? But again, all you got to do is spray these with some water protectant. You'll be all right. But come on. And you got the gray with the speckled midsole right here. All right. Look at the traction pattern. I actually haven't played in these. They even tell you that these are, you got to go up a half size, ladies and gentlemen. These are definitely tight in the toe box if you have a wide foot. All right. This is wide footer crew over here. I'm naturally a 12, so I had to get a 12 and a half. I tried on both sizes. Trust me, if you're actually going to play in these, you definitely need a half size up on them. Very comfortable though. All right, so that's the first one that was must have. There was the I don't know if they're going to come out. I hope that they do, but there's the brown and purple Moab. He's already worn that colorway on as a PE, and not sure if they're going to come out, but if they do, they might find their way into my collection. I'm trying to cap it, okay, because I have another pair I'm going to show you, and there's an All Star edition that had the all purple with the it's like another blue, teal, and orange that look like the old All-Star game jerseys from Phoenix back in the day. So that's coming soon. In actually, I guess April or in May of 2025, that shoe's dropping. But for now, the Moab colorway, I had to have this. All right. And notice the heel tag has some redundancy over here. This is for just to represent pages in a book. All right. Because this is the D books. All right. One more had to go with the Blue Bloods, all right, and get the denim colorway, all right. I am a sucker. I actually have, shout out if let's go back to season one, brands we like, 19.9, all right. It's been so long since we talked about it. 19.9 was actually acquired by Slam magazine. How about that? But they still come out with the retro college shorts in particular, and I actually have the retro release of the denim shorts that they had, and that's what this is inspired by. So that's going to be a summer fit. It's a 19.9 Kentucky denim. All right, that's the Antoine Walker. That's the Tony Delk.
Water McCarty.
Derek Anderson, Walter McCarty, Ron Mercer off the screen.
Bomb squad.
You know what I'm saying? Like that squad, and then they were pressing all game long. That Rick Pitino vibes, and Antoine was shimmying all early in the game. You know what I mean? And that they were actually Converse at the time. But when they broke out those denim, because they had a lot of dramatic pinstripes or spiky, colors, you know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm talking about when I say spiky, the way that it, they had, 1 year, their particular shorts and jerseys, but just them having the denim, and you see, you got the one, cause remember Devin Booker went to Kentucky, he came off the bench. That's how stacked his team was. But I just like the attention to detail. Again, the super embroidered one with the shadow, the extra blue shadow. I like the touch of the blue on the inside and then the blue shoestrings. You know what I mean? And there's actually blue stitching on top of the denim. All right. And they come with extra like off-white laces as well. This particular tongue is a little different because it's got the exposed seam over here. You know what I mean? So you get that fat tongue, and then you get the wildcat. But if you pay attention, there's a blue Nike Dunk Virgil off white that he had exclusively made for himself that has this exact same wildcat. So that some of that is some extra motivation behind the scenes, to pay homage with multiple levels. And the other thing I want to point out here, if you look at the sole on these, is these come aged. All right. So if you look at the sole, you see how white it is, and then you can see the contrast between the midsole. Like, I'm not mad at the aging on this. You know what I mean? Because when I first put it out the box, I was like, why is it so dramatic? And then it just grew on me like, oh, now I think that's a good angle. Can you see the difference? Like the
Definitely.
whole midsole is aged. All right. And there are a couple other shoes that the colorways that he's worn as PEs where he's used the aged sole to mimic like an older version. So, because this is paying homage to something that's older, you know what I mean? I didn't mind the age on here because it's almost like you were wearing a Converse or something like that. You know what I mean? They were different. They weren't all, Antoine Walker wasn't wearing Taylors, but you get my drift. And just for consistency, just notice that there's no pull tab on this particular model. So, he's got a lot going on. You know what I mean? And for this particular model, but the latest thing, and I love how Devin Booker is engaged with his audience. You know, if we follow him through the Olympics, you know, and him playing a role on the Olympic team to get the last gold medal, and but over time, especially since he's got his new shoe, he's really engaged in the community his way. So whether he was overseas in Paris, he does it here all the time, especially in the Phoenix area, where he'll just do your scavenger hunts and he'll just leave shoes laying around, and you know, and then have people do a scavenger hunt. Shout out to DJ Clark Kent. They used to, when he used to travel around, he used to leave his sneakers for a scavenger hunt. Those were sneakers that he wore. But Devin, he'll leave brand new shoes and autograph them and leave them in place and just have everyone go get them. So there was some recent stuff where he just stopped on the side of the road and kids had a lemonade stand, so he went and got some lemonade. You know what I mean? And but he's always, the newest collab that he's doing is with Chevy. And you know, if you know anything about the D Book, he's a car guy. You know what I mean? So a Chevy collaboration just made a lot of sense for what for who he is. And the last shoe I wanted to share was one of the shoes from that collection. So not the actual signature D Book one, but he also had a set of Blazers. All right, Chevy Blazers, or Nike Blazers, and I just thought it was perfect that I got the green low top blazer. All right, you got the Chevy logo on the Chevrolet on the tongue, and again, it's another exposed tongue. All right, so we got the fat tongue over here. Instead of Nike on the back, we got Book. All right, we got the Book. We got the Chevy logo on the inside. All right. Look at this. Just can you feel it through the screen? All right. Buttery green. All right. And hang tags. We got our own Soul Material ones in the merch shop. Go check them out. But I just thought these are like kids just hanging. We got the Chevy logo, and then you got the Blazer, and it says D Book DB Blazer. Okay, so I just thought this was cool. I personally owned the Blazer, Chevy Blazer, at one point in time, so that was another reason why I was like, "Oh, I gotta have these." These actually sold out in most sizes on the Nike site, and I had to go to another boutique to get these. But I made sure I got them. All right, so these are definitely getting rocked this summer. But shout out to D Book. All right, so I got to kick it back to the OG because you know, I just did a little show and tell. But you know, talk to us a little bit more about D Book. We're gonna get more D Books all the way until 2026, because that is when the book 2 is gonna drop. So we will get into next season, and we will still be seeing book 1s. That means that might be the first shoe that spanned 3 seasons. This side of Anthony Edwards, you know what I mean. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. But interesting. It's not to even have to speculate like we were talking about the future John Morant with the John Morant threes. Like we're so far away from the D Book 2s. Let's just enjoy what we got. So OG, any
No,
thoughts? Are there any upcoming colorways or anything like that that sparked your interest in the
no,
for
you
the
took it
D
right
Book?
out. You took my thoughts, right to the head and out to the public and out to the world and out to our constituents, man. Because um, again, it's not really riding the wave. To me, it's almost like a very good song, a whole bunch of remixes, and you're going to just ride that thing out into the sunset. So this is kind of, I'll say, untraditional of Nike because we know them to go season for season and kind of force a new series regardless. And this slow wine I think, is a good thing not only for the book and the brand, but the shoe itself. So I'm looking forward to them not rushing anything. So that book 2, and again, not to be cliche here, but you're telling the story. So again, book D Book, everything is starting to make sense to where they will be a little bit out of the box, a little bit more untraditional, given the story they're trying to tell for D Book as a Nike athlete from this point forward. Definitely.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the box just because, I wish that they, it's got a signature on the side. I wish that they just went full. Like, I get what they're doing on this side, book, all right? But I would just love a different something with the box so that it actually made sense that the boxes could stand up like this, and then you could,
Understood.
or if there was something that was a little different that made it look like each one stood out. You know what I mean? Again, I know that's a lot to do that with as many colorways that they keep coming with to change up the box a little bit. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad. But but I get what they're doing. That's you're trying to look like it's a bookend. But if we're gonna get literal with something, saying some stuff, let's just do it. You know what I mean? Other side now, the Blazers. Now this is different. This is another reason why I like it. Like, look at this box. We got, and the box is aged. Like, they literally have the box being aged. Look at that. This isn't. You ain't gonna see this in these new boxes. You know what I'm saying? And it even got a different style label that you never see. Where it's Devin Booker lifestyle footwear. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, like, did you need to tell us? But we know. And what I also wanted to highlight was because of the collaboration. Look at the tissue paper. It looked
Detail.
like a vintage like Chevy magazine catalog, picture. You know what I mean?
And give Nike credit, Shark, because remember we've had discussions in past episodes to where we were part of an era where Nike was super duper cheap and didn't want to pay for the licensing and so forth. So they would have certain fonts and certain shapes and sizes, and you knew what it was. But give them credit for actually going full out with the licensing and doing it the right way.
Yeah. So that meant that this license was worth it to them. All right, and being that it told such a cohesive story with D Book. Like, I felt like they had to do this. You know what I mean? Like, and like when I saw it and I immediately saw it, I was just like, this is perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know why they didn't lead with this. You know what I mean? We know he's a car person, but the fact that it's three different versions of his Chevys, you know what I mean? And these colorways represent his actual car. He really has a green and white Blazer. You know what I mean? He has the mustard, another mustard Chevy, and then another one that is, what is it, blue? Because there's a blue one of these that are in more limited colorways. So, wow. Just the detail on these and being able to have a silhouette that is so easy to tell stories. You can see, now you got like PJ Tucker having his own PEs for Devin Booker's, and he gets to show homage. I've seen the Phoenix Suns, Penny Hardaway, inspiration. So he gets to tell so many stories. I think there was an older, I don't think it was Tom Chambers, but another older, Phoenix Sun alumni, you know what I mean, who used to wear Converse. He made up a colorway that looked like that shoe, you know what I mean? So, like, that silhouette, because it looked like an Air Force One, all the stories you could tell with an Air Force One, right? I think that, because in the beginning, I think that was some of the hate. Was it, oh, it looks like an Air Force One. Oh, like, how are you going to play ball in that? It looks too flat. Like, how are you, like, what? And then all of that went away, you know what I mean? But, I think that had something to do with the initial hate because you saw it just flat on paper, or you saw some model and then you're just like, how's that going to translate? Because we didn't see all these colorways and how unique it could really tell a story. But sometimes you just got to trust the process and let the professionals do their thing. But this is one of those times where it just makes me feel like we've talked in other episodes, when you see the shoe, you see the colorways, you see the storytelling, it's a very obvious sign to people like us that athlete is having a real conversation with the design team at the brand that they're at. So in this case, Nike, and he's asking specific questions. He's making specific requests. Not oh yeah, I like it. Yeah, just, it'd be nice if it was in blue. You know what I'm saying? And then that's it. It's, I can only imagine that when they're telling some of these stories that they're sending it to him, or he's sending them stuff and saying, no, I like this. Or no, I want the denim of this year. Because I want to do a Kentucky shoe every year, but this year I want to pay homage to the denim uniforms. You know what I mean? And he'll find ways to show homage. So yeah. Devin Booker is signature athlete. He's still got plenty of time to play, in the league. So as someone like LeBron, who's 22, we're not. I don't know if we're gonna get to LeBron 25. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? KD, you're at 18, 18, 19 coming up. So we got Ja Morant coming with the threes, but other than that, who else? We talked about no more of Paul George new shoes for Nike. So who else is left to pick up the mantle for Nike in particular and the future of signature shoes? Because you need more than one or two to survive. You know what I mean? In the signature world, it has to be 3 to 4 strong anchors, and then more in between. So. I think it's a good place. We ain't going to go too far. It's just wanted to highlight what's going on with Devin Booker, especially. Fortunately, the Suns didn't perform as well as their roster is on paper this year, so they're not in. They didn't make it to the playoffs, but so we won't see these on the court anymore until the next season. But OG, got any final thoughts for the book one, Devin
Yeah,
Booker?
just with him, man, again, he came out his freshman year. He's been scoring ever since. And Book has about to get to his prime now, which may sound crazy because he's gotten to the league and been so good for so long. Um, but again, just looking forward to next season and then really riding this book one until it's time for book two. So again, just like a good book, they're not going to rush the reading because the chapter is obviously long, and for it to be the many seasons it has been, and him get to tell his chapter one story, whatever those chapter ones are. Let's just let it ride out until it's time for us to flip the page to get to a chapter two. But kudos to Nike, kudos to Devin Booker, because as you just said, Shark, it's obvious that the relationship is a healthy one and reciprocal one because the communication is obviously showing up as an outcome and as a result, if you will, with what we're getting. Because if we were getting anything different, the Shark and I would be letting you know the truth again. It's clarity over popularity here. So with that being said, excellent job, Nike. Because I was even feeding to some of the initial comments and negativity about the shoe overall. But again, if you're going to tell a story, if you're going to have a movie, watch it all the way through, see how the plot thickens, see how things go. And they've done an excellent job without forcing things or cutting things off to let this thing just brew like a good book. No pun intended. So, Shark, appreciate it, man. Appreciate you displaying what you got as usual. And excited to see what they're going to bring on with the chapter twos and but with the book ones and see what happens. But there's so many colorways and so many stories we don't know. And there's so many things that we don't know that's probably being banked for next season. Because when we got stories and we got childhoods and everything else, I'm looking forward to maybe a Deion Sanders type colorway that who inspired him, during his childhood. Because I know he played more than basketball. So I'm intrigued to see what goes on with the colorways that we already got. But again, great job to Nike, great job to D Book, man. Keep up the good work.
Nice. Well, we'll wrap up here, and I'll actually end on a pun and say I think one of the lessons learned here is to not judge a book by its cover. All right. So for this episode, we're signing off from the podcast you cheer for, the channel you cheer for. We're giving you the clarity over popularity, sneaker business talk. All right. Signing off. It's T Mark the Street Shark.
And the OGEO. Until next time, peace to you.
Sneaker business talk. It's the Soul Material Podcast.